Yeah, I think with Amalur, we had more audio in our build than we do right now in Haven. Sorry.
I personally written what 5 hours of music for it. Yeah, it's been
It is
the
now.
idea behind Amalur. Spoiler alert. You'll hate me when you play the game. That Amalur was Earth many millions of years in the future, and so as such, there were things that have been preserved specifically by goblins as sort of like living librarians of things. But goblins didn't know what they have, so when they find an instrument, they couldn't necessarily assign it to a specific type of music or specific, culture or a specific structural form. So we would write unconventional music using instruments that wouldn't be used in the way that they were supposed to be used. There were a lot of Asian instruments, a lot of in the Lossafar mix, but they're decidedly not sounding like something that came out of the East in terms of music. But you can hear the shamisen in there. You can hear the Urdu in there, which is another instrument. You can hear the koto in there, just all kinds of stuff. And it was interesting. It was really amazing to kind of paint the flavors of the world. We were essentially creating cultural stuff, creating
Yeah.
a something that I never got to do in my career, to be completely honest with you, afterwards. And it was the kind of storytelling that I miss. It All of it is like this. You'll hear things used in an unconventional way in just about every single piece of music. Uh, the uh, the dwarven thing has a bagpipe played in a completely different way. It's possible to play it that way, but nobody would ever in their right mind. The Winter Solstice Carol has a lot of has a an oud and all kinds of other, just very wild bowed instruments and things. I don't even remember. So it's been fun. That's why you're hearing something right now that sounds like vaguely sort of Asian influence because it was by design, by idea, even though they're kind of eye cells. I don't know.
And we not only like built a world, but we crafted an extension of what like could potentially be not just human existence, but like magical creature existence. But imagining if all the magical creatures of mythology actually were real and came to the surface and crafted their own cultures. So Gene and the audio team crafted musical themes and styles for every single race. Brian Labor created written languages for every single race. We had visual styles, and like the cities were very distinct, whether it was Jotun or Dakalfar or Masarial. Like they felt like they were their own worlds, but they all felt connected and related.
An anecdote, sure. Why? Since we're playing this, so dwarves were this really brutal race, kind of like the between sort of like wailing Maori kind of dwarves. They were incredibly brutal. They were very much like Vikings, like total pillage. Everything was, insane. But then we sat down one day and said, look, but they have children, right? So they have to raise their children, and you can't be mean to kids.
I did writing. I wrote a lot for Amalur and for that, and then I did. I was product owner for all of the content that went in for here, and then for big huge games when we were doing Reckoning as well.
And you did some amazing work setting up some of the complex structures. Like we had seasons and like seasonal arcs and episode like
Yeah.
arcs.
Yep. So I did all that. I made all the cities. So I created all this. I mean, I didn't do the art or anything, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I created all the cities, did all that work, um, made a good portion of the races, and then yeah, the whole overarching sort of story for the game itself was, yeah, it was a big piece of that. Yeah, I did. I wrote a lot. Boy, I wrote thousands of pages. I wrote a whole lot for that game.
That was a really big wiki you had there.
That was a crazy, crazy amount of work. Yeah, that was a crazy amount of work. I mean, it obviously wasn't just me. There was, a whole bunch of folks writing, but yeah, that was pretty wild.
What is your favorite memory from 38 Studios?
Oh, just honestly, I've got a couple. My first one is mean.
Yay.
Um, my
Is me.
first memory is I was there probably for, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks to start. So I had been working on Amalur for months and months and months before I started at 38. And so when I started, I knew a ton, but I was still kind of just an asshole.
You were our lore master.
Yeah, to begin with, right? And then other people sort of took it over in different parts, which was fine with me. So when I started, I remember Neeraj, Bobo, someone else came over with a drawing of the Dark Elves. Like, this is what we want for the Dark Elves. Their arms are corrupted. It looks fucking right. And I literally just looked and I went, that'll never work. Just like that. And then I went back to doing whatever I was doing. And so, because I'd never really worked with artists, right? Not really. I mean, my first game that I worked on was in '99, Quake Arena, and there was working with no one. It was just us. So, so I just turned around and went back to work. Well, these poor guys have been working on this thing probably for 3 weeks, right? Like getting the look right. And I literally in 4 words just said, nah, it'll never work. See you later. Like, just see you later. And so I remember them walking away, and Neeraj says, we're walking away thinking, who the fuck, like, what just happened? Like, who is this person? Yeah. So that's probably one of my favorite things. But honestly, my biggest favorite thing was just being able to sit in the pit with the designers and jam on stuff. Like, I just missed that a ton. Like, just being able to just jam on dumb stuff, with this guy over here saying some stupid, ridiculous shit, but we're going to say 5,000 words, and out of those 5,000 words, 3 are going to be relevant and good, and we're going to hang on to those, So we go in there and we spew a bunch of nonsense, and we come out with 5 or 6 words, or ideas that are great. And I just super miss that. Like that level, that sort of the ideation that we had, especially early on, was probably my favorite part of being there. My favorite Masarial, the favorite thing I ever did with the Masarials was I had the island off into the middle of the city that's sort of off to the side where there's this crazy inventor who's making all this crazy shit. And he had the big giant bumblebees, and it was and because all the Masarial were named after wine, his name was Merlot, and so it was the island of Dr. Merlot, and that was my favorite.
That was your contribution.
That was my favorite thing I ever did, was make the island of Dr. Merlot.
That was a peak career right there.
Yeah.
Don't ask for anything else.
Masarial, their whole place was great. I remember making that city, and I had like waterfalls that would work. Remember how in EverQuest for the elves had the elevators that would go up to their places, right? Well, I had that, except it was waterfalls on big water wheels, and so you would get onto the leaf, and it would bring you up to the level because the water wheel was turning. Oh God, that was such a cool city. I had a super good story I wrote about the Jotun and the Crimble where, because the gnomes had said, hey, look, no more fighting, man. Like, if you fight, you're not going to get the Well of Souls. And the Jotun were like, well, what the fuck? Like, this is all we do. And the Crimble are like, all they do is eat us. Like, this is, And so the Crimble shaman had met with the Jotun Ragnar, and they had come up with a plan where the shaman made this stuff called ansuz, which was this fiery liquid that the Jotun would drink, and it would give them bloodlust, but it would also make them actually burn bright, like they would actually glow red. And so at night they'd go out to hunt, and the Crimble could see them coming. So the Crimble could get out of the way. So the Jotun could still go on their hunts and still feel like they were these badasses, but the Crimble would all know where they were, and so they could get out of there, so they wouldn't have to deal with them. Oh yeah. So another fun thing about the Diverga was Salvatore Bob wanted them named the what the hell did he want them named? Not Barbara Gacy. Barbara Gacy? I don't remember. It was a name that was terrible. It was horrible.
That sounds terrible.
It was too much for a game. Like, it was just too much. And we had some legitimate behind doors knockdown fights about that. And it was close. He almost just simply overruled us, which he could have done. But to his credit, because he's smart like that, he didn't. But yeah, he
That's
wanted them
good.
different.
Good
He
job.
wanted them to be, and he wanted them to be like that. They're the guys that they have their feet are super long because they can ski downhill on their feet. And I'm like, oh, Bobby, we can't do this. This is terrible. Like, let's not do this, please. That was one of the things we really wanted in Amalur, right? Was to have something that sort of like a Kisdy and Gix kind of thing, where it's like, here's this dude who's gonna kick your butt. You're gonna die here at least once, and then you get the revenge quest when you get like, you reach level 30, and suddenly a quest pops up that
You
says, "Hey,
never forget about
remember
it.
that jerk? Go kick his butt." Right? Like, it's so cool. Yeah.
All right. I know we're playing this game, but Tozef does have a question.
Yeah.
While you're spilling the beans, can you spill any beans about Kamiruk?
I don't even know if I remember. What was that? Remind me.
Tozef, we need more context.
Oh, the dragon. Yeah, his name was actually going to be my name, Agrodelius, here, which is funny.
The Dragon of Fate's Veil.
And then, and then Bobby ended up using Agrodelius for a dragon in one of his books, and so I couldn't use it for couldn't use it for
Thanks,
that
Bobby.
dragon.
Did he
Yeah,
ask for permission?
always.